Good afternoon, gamers. It's June 11th, 2020, the day we've all been waiting for, and today we're talking the PlayStation 5 reveal. Now we're going to talk about the biggest takeaways from this presentation, the games that we're excited about, and the things that they could have done better, which, spoiler alert, wasn't very much, and what I think this means for the console wars moving forward for Microsoft and even for Nintendo, who until this point has pretty much been Sweden. Now there's a lot to get into, so let's get started. Now as you know, this event was originally supposed to take place last week on June 4th, but because of the state of America today and in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement, Sony postponed the event until June 11th. I talk more about this in another video, but many questioned just how well intentioned companies like Sony were when it came to their solidarity messages and whether these messages would lead to any more meaningful changes or representation for black people in the gaming space moving forward. Unless you subscribe to certain conspiracy theories, you know that Sony had no way of knowing what would have happened in Minneapolis prior to the PS5 reveal, and while they did postpone for a week, I'm not sure how much they could have changed the reveal in that time. So I will say this, if this presentation was edited to reflect more inclusion, then Sony did a wonderful job of honoring the commitment they made in solidarity with Black Lives Matter movement, with the games and the staff that they represented in this presentation. And if the video wasn't edited, then that's even better. Because the first game that they introduced was none other than Spider-Man Miles Morales, which fans of the Spider-Man PS4 games looks like a much better version of that game. It's scheduled to come out this holiday season, which I do also think is pretty revealing because as far as I can remember, there weren't any tentative release dates for any of the games that were in the Xbox presentation, which means that these games are a bit further along in their development than some of the games that we've seen prior till today. Now there were over 20 games in this reveal, and most of them did not come with any lengthy monologues from the developers in that hour, so it was a lot to digest. And though most of them look pretty good, I just wanted to highlight the few that I found to be the most interesting or impactful. Now we already talked about Spider-Man, and there were several other sequels to Sony's other big first-party titles like Horizon Zero Dawn, and more explosively, a brand new Ratchet & Clank, which looks not only to be an amazing action game, but looks more than any other game like it's trying to take full advantage of the SSD technology. Ratchet & Clank can be seen engaging multiple enemies from different worlds, phasing seamlessly between the... Honestly, I've never seen anything like it, and I'm not a huge Ratchet & Clank fan, but this game honestly sold the console for me, and it was only number 3 on the list. We also got to see some new games from your favorite third-party developers like Capcom, who announced a Resident Evil 8 or Village, and Square Enix, who had a game which I think is still untitled but is currently called Project Aria. 2K Games gave us a first look at NBA 2K21, which looks pretty impressive. There was a trailer for a brand new Hitman game, and we got to take a look at the new Oddworld game, which is titled Soulstorm. We also got to preview the new Dark Souls remake, although there was no gameplay footage for that one. Of the major 3 studios, there were 3 games that really caught my attention. The first was Godfall, which I heard of before, but I had no idea what it was about. To be honest, the name seemed ready to disappoint like Anthem, but the gameplay looks so fast and intense that I cannot say no to this game. It's giving me a Darksiders, Devil May Cry kind of vibe, but it seems like a grind fest, so I'm here for it. The second game that really stunned me was Ghostwire Tokyo. It's a first-person game, and I know that I've been pretty hard on them lately, but this one looks very interesting. It's set in what seems to be a fully scaled digital Tokyo, where you're some kind of a ghost hunter fighting spirits. What really made this game look cool was the jutsus the player was doing while he was killing the ghosts. Wow. And last, but arguably not least, there's a non-first-party game I wanted to get to is Bethesda's Deathloop, which for all intents and purposes looks phenomenal. The art production is pretty unique, and it's really the gameplay and story that sets this game apart for me. It's a memory-style action game where you guide your character through a map that recycles constantly and starts you from the beginning of certain checkpoints as you progress through the story, kind of like Katana Zero if you've ever played that game. The part of the game that really hooked me was the narrative around the protagonist who has, on top of several other cool powers, the ability to relive the day that he dies. But here's the catch. He's trapped on an island where he's being hunted by rich and powerful people for sport. Both the protagonist and the antagonist are a black male and female, and somehow through this divisive system, the two become rivals. Something about this just really hit home for me. Needless to say, I am beyond hyped for this game. There were also games from up-and-coming indie developers, as well like Heart Machine, who showed up with a sequel to Hyper Light Drifter called Solar Ash, which takes that same neon art style and cranks it up about 4 console generations. Another game that I thought was really interesting was called Kena by a new studio called Ember Lab, which looks like a really solid story adventure game. It seems to really take advantage of next-gen graphic capabilities, and it's nice to see that there are still small studios making games like this with new IPs for the next generation. So I'm definitely looking forward to see more from Ember Lab. One more honorable mention from the games that no one saw coming was a Death Stranding-like space exploration game called Returnal, which looks like it features a good combination of puzzles and world exploring and action. After that, the games were pretty good looking, but nothing I'd really write home about. One game called Stray, where you play as a cat. Another called Destruction All-Stars that looks like Fortnite with cars. Little Big Planet Minecraft Dungeons. A high school dating sim. And a few games that seem to be aimed at younger kids, which I thought was kind of funny as they would never be allowed to touch my PS4. In the middle of the program, they gave us a full-length feature advertisement reminding us of the key components like the solid-state drive, the ray tracing, haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and motion controls, which Sony believes are going to be the features that really set this generation apart from the last and turns these from video games to full-on experiences. At the end of the presentation, and honestly, a surprise to me, they actually did reveal the actual console. I'm not sure why this surprised me, but I really wasn't sure whether or not they were going to reveal the console, as this was slated to be a gameplay display. But not only did they show us the console, which looks immaculate, they opted for a white console, the first time since the PS1, which adds a futuristic design, and with the blue light coming out of the top, I think it will add a very nice vibe to a dark room, so I'm really excited to have one on my desk. Anyways, not only did they show us the console, but they also hit us with a full line of products, from the headset to the media remote, charging stations for the controllers, and the camera, as well as we got to see the disc drive and digital versions of the console. And there you have it, the PS5 is here, ready for the fall launch window, and with plenty of games ready for the holiday season, Sony has definitely placed all of their cards on the table for everyone to sort through. All in all, I think this presentation was a pretty big win for Sony, who was perceived by many to have lost a step. Many speculated that they weren't going to have a console to display, or that they wouldn't be ready to launch them on time due to COVID-19, and they seem pretty well placed to do all of that. With an impressive slate of games, brand new hardware, as well-received presentation, I think Sony has officially taken the lead in the next generation. And although many Microsoft fans have gone to the length to ridicule the PS4 for looking like a router, it's pretty tough for anyone to deny the games, and that's what it's really about, right? Now, Microsoft still hasn't previewed any of their first-party titles, so there is a possibility that they could wow us with some Halo or Gear 6 footage, but beyond that, I don't know where else they could show, but we'll just have to wait and see. So what did you guys think about the PS5 reveal? Were you impressed? Were you disappointed? Will you pre-order the PS5? How do you think Microsoft will respond in the coming months? Do you think that this will force Nintendo to release a Pro Edition to the Switch? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell so that you get notifications when we post new videos. Thanks for watching. You guys take care, and until next time, remember, if you want to get in the game, get on the sticks.